spiritual bypassing is kind of like a human kind of coping strategy to not to want to feel better and to not want to feel what we contain inside that is uncomfortable, which for many of us is a lot, right? There's a lot of history that each person has, a lot of pain, trauma, right? So when we start to get a taste of spirituality and realize that which is a beautiful thing, through meditation or whatever kind of practices one does, that there's something inside that feels free. Let's say that's an authentic, kind of understanding that opens up. And that just feels so liberating, with a body that has been challenged, a mind that is just restless and stressed, right? Circumstances that are out of our control. So finding kind of a sanctuary is really important. And it is a passageway that we're meant to go through. All right. So that's not spiritual bypassing in itself. That is just a really important landing place and understanding that there's something inside, or there's a place, some people may have it in their mind. So there's a place that's empty of this experience. So that wants to get kind of grounded and established once that has been open to. But then what can often happen is that there's these two things that will be taking place. One is that there's something that's free, that is, always the timeless, it's uncaused, it's empty, it's free of this content, of all this pain, all this suffering, right? And then there's all the rest. There's me, there's my life, and there's all this angst or uncomfortableness and this inability to know how to integrate the two. So there's this polarization, this dichotomy that takes place. And what is wanted really by life, by intelligence, is to learn how to have this freedom that one has opened up to be able to penetrate and support the understanding of the form. This is the formless that we're talking about. And then they say emptiness and form are one thing. So it's meant to penetrate and help inform the form, one's life, the feelings and everything. So spiritual bypassing would be that one would have a preference for staying beyond, say, the need to have that really be solidified, to the point where one really wants to escape one's life and escape situations and feelings and head over into the emptiness camp and hide out there. That's what spiritual bypassing really is. And it's a coping strategy, as I said in the beginning, because it can be hard, especially if we spent a whole lifetime avoiding feeling uncomfortable and feeling uncomfortable feelings. And especially if we don't have the skills, that would be a good time for people to get support, if they have trauma that might be living there, which is not uncommon, to get good trauma support, somatic, psychological help, nervous system support is what I always say, to help the nervous system to be able to calm down, through all these different things that people can do, such as yoga nidra and craniosacral and network spinal analysis. There's so many things that one can do to help the nervous system be able to integrate being here without going into fight or flight. so the transcendence is not a place that we're meant to live in. We're meant to live in an integrated, embodied way to where that which we've opened up to is available here and now, right? Here and now as this, in this moment, in this situation, and as these feelings come up. But it takes some work. It takes some, maturity to be able to go, oh, I've been avoiding, and I didn't even realize how much I had been avoiding for so many years, because no fault of one's own. It's the way we've been conditioned to avoid what's uncomfortable. So evolutionarily, spiritual awakening is meant to help us actually integrate so that we can be both at once, form and formless together at once. Not form is the king, formless is the garbage dump. Right? And before waking up to that beautiful formlessness that we contain inside, that is so precious, that we want to cultivate, form was the king or the queen or whatever you want to say. And form and everything was like, that's where I'm going to find myself, is in this life, in this world. And when we realize that we can't ever really find what we're looking for, which is so precious and is not just made of stuff, substance, that's when we go on the search of the spirit, that which is the mystery, the invisibleness. So coming together is really the goal. Spiritual bypassing is, I'm going to avoid. I'm going to keep avoiding, and that is just saying there's something that hasn't matured in its understanding, and maybe it just needs support so that landing here isn't so scary, because it can be so very scary, especially when we contain, a lot of pain. Pain body and trauma. It's asking a lot, so we need to get the help we should get at that point. So spiritual bypassing can just be a call to getting the support we need so that we can be embodied and learn how to be here. But the thing is that oftentimes people who are spiritually bypassing don't even know it. It's such a strategy that is so fast that they might not even know it. And even if one pointed it out to them, in a loving way, let's hope, they may go on the defensive and say, oh, no, I'm here. And you're like, no, I don't feel you. I think that you're like in the, like all is well zone. But right now, I don't think all is well. We have an issue here. Let's talk about it. So, sometimes it can be kind of hard to nudge those who are really deeply in that place, entrenched in it. Most people just have a taste of it, or they come out of it naturally. And maybe when they come out of it, they're ready, they're ready to say, okay, what else is here? This is only one half of the circle. This is one half of the story. We are made of spirit. Nothing exists. All is well. All these kind of pronouncements, that there's truth to. But guess what? Everything else is also true. We're here. We exist. There are sensations. There are feelings. There's a life and relationships to be in with. And so that is also made of God. And that's the parts that's missing for those who are maybe in misunderstanding. It's okay for a while, but it's not meant to stay that way. And if they had a teacher that was integrated and embodied, they would say, okay, snap out of it. They would put them to work in the picking cabbages and baking bread and raising children or whatever. They would say, oh, get into life now, chop wood, carry water, right? But if they have a teacher that is also identified and is staying in the transcendent, because that's what they think is the whole point of realization, then they won't get that kind of pointing. And I'm not trying to make it wrong, but I think that, well, my teaching and my work, personal work here, and then what I help share with others is that we're meant to be in the world. And Jesus said, like, in the world, but not of it. Right? That's emptiness in form. In the world, but not of it. The world needs us, right? And we need one another to be here. And to also to fulfill our potential, to have a full realization is emptiness in form is our one. And to live that way and to live as that.